we always start with the ass end of Glenn Beck. Apparently, he spends all this money on this studio, and then they just you get a shot where you see his garbage can, a couple of pieces of paper. I guess, is that a sweater hanging on something? Is he just drying laundry at this point? He's got, three of these big screens laying against him right here, which are cool, and I want one, but there's like 3 of these fucking things, and he never knows how to use them. Okay, we're facing the world's worst food crisis since World War II. Okay, this is shit I've talked about. This is stuff Peter Zeihan talks about. This is stuff that anybody who's paying attention to any of this shit is talking about, and it's real. It's like it's what I mentioned on Stuttering John's podcast when I was on earlier, is that, Ukraine and Russia provide a good portion of the world's wheat, and destroying that output will affect human beings. It'll cause starvation in not in first world countries, but in third world and developing countries. It's fucked. It's bad. It's going to take a lot of work, and there will be a time when it's arguably we don't have the resources to come to anybody's rescue. It'll be that desperate. And there's a very strong chance that the next 18 months we'll see the largest swath of starving people in modern history, because Russia decided to destroy the biggest wheat producer in Europe. So anyways, he's saying we're facing the world's worst food crisis since World War II. Like, observably, obviously true. What the fuck does that have to do? What's his take on it? This is my curiosity. Is it Biden's fault? Is that what we're doing?
So I want to go through a couple of things. First,
great. Okay, how about go through a brick wall, and then go through some sort of laminating paper, and then go through a car wash, and then go through a tar spreader, and then go through feathers. It's kind of a Clint Eastwood, every which way but loose kind of a thing.
First of all, there is real problems in China.
What? Real problems in China? Probably Biden's fault. Who told you that? Who in the world has been talking about the fact that there are, quote, real problems in China for a while? Is he being blue-pilled?
China is still closing everything down, and they're...
Look at him talking to everybody on his show as if they don't know, which they probably don't. He just read this, and all of a sudden he's like, guys, I know something you don't know. I mean, I just heard it.
Society is collapsing.
Their society is collapsing.
Shanghai, there are stories now, and it's amazing because these are Americans that live in Shanghai.
What? There are Americans living in Shanghai? Next thing you'll tell me that Americans have traveled to Shanghai and even filmed there, and Americans that speak Chinese and have friends there who know this and have been talking about it for 2.5 goddamn years.
And in the story that was, I can't remember, it was an American journal, they did not want to be identified in fear of repercussions.
Right.
And what they're saying is, as soon as this lockdown's over, I'm out of here.
Right. We're reshoring. Everybody's getting the fuck out. This is, and again, everybody who's like, China's in Biden's pocket, or pockets of Biden's in China's pocket. They got hands in each other's pockets. They're controlling the whole thing. Like, all those assholes, like, try to fit what he's saying right now, which is measurably true and pretty baseline, with what, square it with the bullshit he's been making up about China for the last 2 goddamn years.
I love the...
Because this is one of those China's going to eat our lunch assholes. 6 weeks ago, this motherfucker was telling us that they're going to swamp us, and that the Biden administration is going to get rolled, and we need somebody like Trump to deal with them. And this motherfucker's finally waking up.
Quote from one of them that said, the problem with this is there's no one to turn to for help. Bingo. Now you understand the problem with an all-encompassing government. When
centralized government is what you're talking about.
Whenever they decide they're going to do something, there's no one to turn for help.
Turn to for help. You turn to for help. I don't know if you know this, but if you need help, don't turn to another person. You can turn to another person for help, but turning them won't help, because if they were facing you, now they know even less about the problem.
Who's going to help you?
Who you gonna call? I want a new drug. Wrong song.
You're going to call the police because that's the government. You're going to call the politician because that's the government. You're going to call the military because that's the government.
Wait, politicians in the military are linked to the government? When did that shit start?
You're going to call the media because that's the government. So,
right. And that's really what's going on in China. That's really what's going on in Russia. And that's not at all what's going on over here, you lazy fuck.
It's falling apart badly, and the ships that are stuck in port and trying to get into port.
Oh, look at this. Hey, guys, remember the picture I showed you guys of the Shanghai ships all backed up days ago? Suddenly, this dickhead has woken up to it.
Unlike anything the world has ever seen.
Well, no. I mean, we just saw it backed up ships around the Port of Long Beach for a while. We've seen similar things. It's an extremity. What? I'll show you what he's talking about. Hold on. The backed up Shanghai. There's a graphic of it. This is I guarantee. Hold on, it'll pop up. Yeah, this is. Yeah, I agree. This is the ship. This is what he's talking about. These are all the ships floating around, backed up and fucking around. These, red and green dots show the massive congestion of cargo vessels and tankers off the coast of Shanghai. They're just dangling. A lot of these, by the way, are coming out of the exterior of the country to pick shit up and take it into the interior country, and they're stuck too. But this is what he's talking about. He's like, oh my God, look at all these ships all backed up. And blah, blah, blah. Why won't Joe Biden make the dock workers work 24/7 to fix this? China's going to eat our lunch. They're so organized and we're like herding cats. Get the fuck out of here.
This is much worse than it was with COVID. Remember when we couldn't get anything?
Hey, asshat, this is with COVID. That's why they're locked down.
Now it's causing all kinds of problems, and we are just at the beginning of this story.
No, we're kind of like a third of the way in. You're just at the beginning of this because you're so busy sniffing your own farts and trying to sell your book by reinforcing a bullshit narrative that you never look outside your bubble. And the occasion that you do, you're like shocked at shit that's self-evident to anybody else who's paying attention.
This is an epic Black Swan event.
Fuck, he's reading this fucking shit. Okay, so they've been talking about Black Swan events since before the fucking Olympics.
And with the war in Ukraine and the bird flu pandemic, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to that, but that's causing real problems here in the United States. And this is assuming now that in the next 12 months, there are no natural disasters.
Right. It's almost as if whoever's president has to be a serious person doing serious things, creating serious solutions while being surrounded by inserious fucks sitting in Texas with a weak electrical grid, bitching about immigrants that were invited there by Ted Cruz while he went to fucking Mexico and his constituents froze to death. Other than that, I have no opinion.
We are now facing the worst global food crisis since World War II. I want you to think about this.
Yes. Glenn, I'm sorry to tell you, you're going to have to get the small order of fries at Sonic.
The worst food crisis since World War II.
Worldwide. Not the United States, worldwide.
This is a problem. Senator Roger Marshall said.
By the way, in World War II, we didn't have a lot of the tracks and the, trucking systems and shipping lanes and shit like that. That all came afterwards anyways. So there were a lot of elements of this that didn't even exist. So when it shuts down, of course, it's bigger because you're closing roads that didn't exist. You're shutting down trains that weren't there in the first place. So of course, it's going to be bigger. You build one train line into the center of Africa to bring in food, and that train line gets shut down. It's going to be worse than the famine that happened before, no matter fucking what, because, all right.
Said that we are going into a worldwide famine. And, quote, it is definitely going to happen.
Well, he's scared. Hold on. And by the way, what's the, who are you quoting?
Roger Marshall.
Roger Marshall. Who's Roger Marshall? Roger Marshall. Kansas City was Marshall Senator Marshall. High war in Ukraine creating devastating food crisis. Okay, this is kansascity.com. All right, sure. That's where the first thing that comes up. Of course, I can't. I have to subscribe to continue reading. Roger Marshall Congress. Roger Marshall more call for assistance. Humanitarian. Blah blah blah. Daybreak. Readers take issue with. Inflation opinion. Kurz wanted to dismiss for the Kansas second is wrong and the incentive package is not. Local communities. All right. I guess you have to subscribe. This is written in a Kansas City paper, which is, by the way, where he. He's talking about corn. Like Kansas grows corn and grain, so that's why this dude would be one of the people that they would bring up.
That we are going into a worldwide famine.
By the way, Roger Marshall is also one of the people who calls bullshit on our current inflation storyline that it's about too much money, because it ain't. It's about lack of shit. It's about supply shock. That's what a famine is. A famine is supply shock. You can't buy food for no matter how much money you have in your pocket because it doesn't fucking exist. And it's not going to change in our country all that much because we have plenty. But in other countries, you can spend every last dime you have for a cup of rice.
And, quote, it is definitely going to happen.
Right.
Now, let me just give you a couple of things that just, the low-hanging fruit here. So you...
Yes, please, we don't expect any high concepts, Glenn. You couldn't possibly understand them.
Can understand what's coming. You're going into the grocery store. Have you noticed that there's not empty shelves, but...
Right. You can't say shit like that, Glenn. You're fucking with the narrative.
They're not as full as they usually are.
Mm-hmm.
If you've noticed that, you might have noticed that in the canned dog food.
And in deference to you, Stu, fucking canned dog food, son of a bitch. Look, most of the fucking dog food and cat food that he's talking about, specifically these brands that they're discussing, are from pork slaughterhouses and chicken slaughterhouses in fucking China. They use the rendered meat to make the fucking chicken and and pork and beef dog food, because it's all over the fucking. It's the meat they like push off the floor. They make that in China. They boil it and then they reflavor it and they basically put antiseptic in it and remake it, and then they put it on a goddamn shipping container and bring it over here. That's why. Because we get that shit from rendered, because there's a bunch of people eating in China and there's a bunch of rendered leftover meats.
And dog food there's starting to be a shortage in America of canned dog food.
Of certain types of canned dog food, specifically the ones that get their rendered bits from China.
Not going to be able to get it.
Right. And guess what? As soon as China goes offline as a primary supplier for the United States for any stuff, you're not going to be able to get a lot of things. And you're not going to want to. You're going to get them from somewhere else.
Why?
Because it's $19,000 for a single shipping container, and people would rather ship luxury cars or expensive goods or clothes or shit for human beings than rendered horse meat, disguised as beef, hidden in, some sub-tier Purina brand that my dog just loves it.
Couple of reasons.
All right.
Chicken and turkey, because of the Asian flu, now going through our bird population, which we are just slaughtering turkeys and chickens.
Okay, this is the other thing that he just did this. Okay. I'll see what he's referencing. 2022. There you go. What we know about it. Hold on. Here's this is what he's referring to, by the way. Bird flu cases surge in U.S. What we know so far. The CDC says it's monitoring the worst avian flu influenza outbreak since 2015, which has devastated poultry farms along the East Coast and in the Midwest. Federal health officials are closely watching a highly lethal type of bird flu that's devastated poultry farms from the East Coast and the Midwest in recent weeks. There are no signs the strain of avian flu poses a danger to people yet, but experts are on the lookout for potential mutations. Although the risk to humans remains low, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said it would monitor people who've been exposed to domestic and wild species infected with H5N1, which is, by the way, what Biden was talking about last year, because he was having meetings with the CDC while dealing with COVID, and they kept bringing up H5N1. So everybody's like, he's like screwing up the name of H1N1. It was a long time ago. He's talking about H5N1. Anyway, highly pathogenic avian flu virus that spreads easily among birds. Since February, H5N1 has been detected in commercial and backyard flocks in at least 17 states, making it the worst flu outbreak since 2015, when nearly 50 million birds were slaughtered or died. The spread of the disease has largely been blamed on the migration of wild birds flying over domestic flocks and transmitting the virus through their droppings. At this time, no human cases. The worry experts say is that a continued spread among birds could give the virus more chances to pick up new mutations and become more of a risk to people. New strains of influenza that are introduced to the human population can cause global pandemics, often originate from these sources, in particular birds. There's a risk that some of these bird flu strains may pick up the genetic capacity to infect humans. That's always the concern. Virus has trouble infecting humans. This is what I want to talk about. The quite severe mortality rate estimated is approximately 60% of birds die. So it's not 100% lethal even in the ones that get it. The agency said it's working closely with the agricultural department. Let's see. Are they culling lots of birds? Let's see. Bird flu USA culling. Yeah, there you go. There's the cull. This is what he's talking about, by the way. U.S. egg factory roasts alive 5.3 million chickens in avian flu cull, then fires almost every worker. Laborers worked for a month disposing of birds killed in a gruesomely inhumane manner. Then they found they too were disposable. These are that's not how you're supposed to do it. Laborers are one of the largest egg factories. Arrived at a plant in Rembrandt, Ohio. Early one morning in March, discovered they were about to work themselves out of a job. When was this? Yeah, this is 22. This is the newest one. And then killing millions of chickens. This is probably closer. The conversation. Bird flu is killing millions of chickens and turkeys across the U.S. Outbreak of this caused Where is it? What's the number on this guy? Symptoms. Nothing's worse than a depressed chicken. These are the states it's affecting. How many cases? Let's see. Approximately 23 million chickens, turkeys, and game birds in commercial backyard flocks have been culled. Okay, so 23 million chickens, turkeys, and game birds in commercial and backyard flocks have been culled as of April 3rd, 2022, after the bird flu was detected. The most of them, what's going on here, is in Iowa. Yeah. 13 million in Iowa. This seems to be the sort of epicenter. It's spread out more in Michigan. And then there's the East Coast where they flew in this way, essentially. Too much open air in these areas to get much. 80 in Illinois. I'm glad they're keeping track up to that minute number. Get out of the way. For several weeks without new virus detection, the area is required to test negative. Okay, they do this. Okay, so let's do this. So 23 million chickens, turkeys, and game birds. So that's how many in general. Okay, let me see. How many chickens in the U.S. 20. There are 518.3 million chickens. 23 million of them have been culled. I mean, it's sad that the chickens are culled when they're sick or that there's an outbreak. But I guess there's 490 million chickens now. Okay.
Left and right.
Hold on. How long egg to chicken for? It takes 6 to 7 weeks for a chicken to be old enough, big enough to be, slaughtered for food. 6 to 7 weeks. So we've got 418. Okay, this is just chickens. I didn't check the turkeys. So, but in 6 to 7 weeks, you could replace all or more of, than the number lost by that. So in about a little under 2 months. Then that's factory farms. Obviously they're, they can be older. And then let's see, turkeys in the US. You'll get my point in a second. Hold on. How many? How many turkeys are in the US? 6.2 million turkeys in the country. So far. No word on how many were slaughtered. A much smaller number. Okay, here we go.
You can't get cheap food for your dog. You can't get the chicken and the turkey for the dog food.
I'm this motherfucker. Like the first world problems of this bullshit. Okay. Let's see. Chicken dog food. Is that a case? The $3.58 account. So there's, the case of those guys. You can't get it. There's none. I mean, and when we say none, I mean, obviously there's a lot. But like, stores aren't, I mean, you can order, this is only page 1. Page 2, you just can't get it. They're out of everything. It's terrible. I mean, this is a famine. We're going to all be eating dog food and there won't be any.
Plus, there's an aluminum can shortage. There's a shortage of aluminum.
Fuck me. Mm-hmm. This is the fabled Candemic. Hold on. Candemic supply chain issue hit breweries, causing an aluminum can shortage. The brewery industry says it's experiencing an aluminum can shortage that could lead to higher prices for consumers. Or glass, I suppose. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, blah, blah, blah. During the height of the pandemic, breweries, including Craft House Brewery, had to shift their business models overnight. That meant more canned beer because people weren't buying it on tap, getting it or whatever. So basically all the normal big breweries like Coors and all that shit, they can their stuff. But the local breweries send over giant, like kegs to local places, but then people weren't going there. That's what he's referring to. Fucking hell.
Those two things are only going to get worse.
Yeah, imagine if your dog drinks craft beer and eats only a special kind of super chicken.
Now, if you also are heading into summer, wherever you live, and there are pools around.
Okay. Summer doesn't come to other people. I guess maybe he has a big listening audience in Australia.
Try buying chlorine.
Okay, try buying chlorine. Let's see. chlorine for pool. Whoops. Okay. Walmart has it. Home Depot has it. Granger Industrial Supply has it. Hydropolis has it. Guardian, chlorinating granules in the old-fashioned kind. Super Soil, there's old-fashioned Clorox. And there's Spa Choice, in case you like a good hot tubbing. Frankfurt Hardware, they'll have it to you by Tuesday. Look at this giant 40-pound pail from Walmart in the swim. Let's see. It probably out of set. You can't get it. Oh, it's low price is $209 on eBay. You can buy it as well. And as well, let's see. Walmart's got I mean, it's got to be like we're out. You can't get any. Arrives in Vegas Wednesday. Okay, I guess you can. I tried. I mean, I don't need it, but I tried. I did try. And I was successful even though I don't need it.
You're about to see a growing problem with chlorine.
Boy, am I.
The pandemic is not the problem this time.
Oh, no, not the pandemic. Psh, that's over. Except in Shanghai, where it's fucking everything up, as you mentioned earlier.
This is Hurricane Laura.
And apparently forgot about, Hurricane Laura is to blame.
In late 2020.
Laura Bush?
2020. It leveled.
In late 2020. Who was president then? I mean, technically, I would just say Joe Biden because Trump had given up on presidenting once he lost.
The facilities of a major chlorine manufacturing.
Yes, and exactly, Ivan. So this is all supply shock. This motherfucker is explaining supply shock. He's too dumb to know it, but that's what this is. This is not inflation. The price of chlorine going up, the price of fucking dog food going up, the availability of it, prices in grocery stores has nothing to do with available monetary supply. Nothing, fucking nothing.
Plant in Louisiana. 40% of all of our chlorine is made at that plant. Well, that was 2 years ago.
Jesus Christ. You'd think there was, hold on. What's the name of the place?
40%.
Okay, back up.
Of a major chlorine It leveled the facilities of a major chlorine manufacturing plant in Louisiana. 40% of...
Okay, hold on. Louisiana chlorine factory. Hold on. I love that this motherfucker just reads notes. Okay. You're going to enjoy this. Hold on.
Of all of our chlorine is made at that plant. Well, that was 2 years ago. Why isn't that plant back online?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just hearing about it, Glenn, and I don't have a fucking staff to look shit up for me, but maybe there's stuff in the works as of June 30th last year when the Biden administration took over, replacing chlorine plant that burned after Hurricane Laura. A Southwest Louisiana chlorine plant that burned last year after Hurricane Laura will get a $170 million replacement. Westlake, Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana chlorine plant that burned last year after Hurricane Laura will get a $170 million replacement. The Toronto-based owners, it's a Canadian company, just like Keystone Pipeline. And Governor John Bell Edwards announced plan on Wednesday the new Biolab Inc. Biolab Inc. Oh my God, is probably run by Ukrainian Nazis in Westlake. It will produce significantly. Here you go. Fuck me. All right. It's going to be hard to find chlorine for a while they replace it, and then they're going to replace it with a much more efficient facility, and the price of chlorine is going to fucking crater, and everybody's going to, pool costs are going to go in the toilet, no pun intended, and then, all right. it will produce a significantly greater amount of swimming pool products than the one it's replacing, which was built in 1979, and will restore jobs lost to the fire, according to a news release. The plant's staff worked to secure the site and then get it ready to bring us back better than we were before. The company's Biolab division, headquartered in Lawrenceville, Georgia, expects to finish the new plant by next year. This is this year. Keeping 19 jobs and adding 82 with an average salary of $76,000. The Biden boom, ladies and gentlemen. Big Biden boom. Big Biden boom. Bada boom. Last year, our state faced many unprecedented challenges from which we are still recovering, but today's announcement is a testament to the fortitude, determination, and resilience of our people and our business climate, Edwards said. The new facility will produce a chlorine-based sanitizer called trichlorouronic acid, or TCCA, for people who don't want to hurt themselves trying to say a word they've never seen before. The company is expected to use the state's job training program, fucking governments, right? And one providing up to 80% in property tax breaks for up to 10 years on the new work. Well, what do you know? Why isn't that being replaced? Well, it fucking is, actually. Listen to this dipshit. Citing this, like, oh my God, panic. You guys got, where do you think he goes next? You think it's going to be a fucking prepper food? This motherfucker's going to, like, if he sells us prepper food.
Is made at that plant. Well, that was 2 years ago. But why isn't that plant back online?
Because they are building a better one and adding jobs for America. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Because of the building supply shortage.
Dun, dun, dun. Captain Chaos. The building supply shortage. And by the way, that's not actually true. It's unrelated. He's just assuming that it's not working. He's like, it's because there's a bill. That's why it doesn't exist. It's like, no, they're building a better facility.
They can't get it back online because they don't have the supplies they need to rebuild it.
It's a fucking chlorine plant. It's not a Frank Lloyd Wright museum, you asshole. What the fuck do you think they need? Steel siding, concrete, wiring. It's a chlorine plant.
There's also the baby formula shortage that is.
Well, and in deference to Stu again. Whoops, son of a bitch. What happened? Hold on, back up.
So I want to go through a couple of
here. Hold on.
Aluminum can shortage.
Right, we saw that one, right.
There's a shortage. Try buying chlorine.
Okay, that's where there.
In late 2020, our chlorine is made at can't get it back online, continuing and getting worse.
Okay.
Have you?
And the baby formula thing is like a rotating thing because that was because that had nothing to do with supply chain or inflation or anything. That was a bad batch of fucking. It was a recall. All fucking Glenn is doing is making the case for why he would be completely inept at handling any kind of fucking emergency. This is why there's a shortage. They had to throw out Similac, Alimentum, and Elicare powdered infant formulas made in Sturgis, Michigan. Nice job, bikers. That's not inflation. That's not government fucking policy.
You tried to buy bulk food.
Oh, that Stu feels seen. I'm convinced that both of you only buy bulk food.
I kind of hang in the circles of preppers.
Do you? It's just kind of a, you guys got a little Slack group you hang out in? What is there a prepper circle jerk? What night of the week is it? Hump day?
And my church is big on this.
Yeah, because they think they're going to survive the end times instead of just accepting it.
You try to go to, they're always like, we got food, don't worry.
Don't worry. End times, we got you covered. We got tubs of pancake batter, and we got, are those pancake batter? That's pancake batter. That one's syrup. That one's pancake batter. Can somebody open those up? Stu was in here yesterday. Motherfucker, they're all empty. Son of a bitch.
Or you can just come get food and buy the food here, cheap price.
Your church sells prepper food? What the ever-loving fuck?
You can't buy it.
Well, I hope not. You can only rent it. That's the thing about food.
You can only buy it in limited supplies.
That's true. It is food, after all.
Now, that is remarkable.
Yeah, apparently you're remarking on it. It's not remarkable to me, because why the fuck would I care that prepper churches are having a hard time finding the shitty overseas ingredients they are expecting you to eat after some sort of apocalyptic holocaust?
Rice is going to go up.
Okay. I'm just looking up all of these. Fuck it. The price of rice. It's going crazy. Here, well, let's look at the trading economics in general. Let's get a look at this shit. It's going up. Oh my God. It's going up. Look at this. It's terrible. This is one day. A week. Oh. It's 2020. And then it went through the roof because people were panic buying. Here's 2018 when production's normal. And then it's going up to here, which will peter out about here, minus the spike. And then sort of level off. But let's take a look at the rest of the stuff. Rice, soybeans, they're up monthly, year-to-date 8% because of transportation. Wheat's up 45%. There you go. There's your Putin dividend. Palm oil, same thing, 78%. Cotton, 74%. There's your Xinjiang. That's what you get. That's, by the way, that's not inflation. That's the price of getting cheap cotton out of Xinjiang for a long time and just going, we're making lots of money, and then losing it all when people recognize you're using slave labor. Fuck you. Oats are up 75.19% for the year because of fuel costs, largely. 11% for the 0.1% for the day, down 5% for the month. That's interesting. That's fucking interesting, man. And here's rice. There it is. Is down. Oh, it's down. The price of rice is down. That's right. Sorry, let me move it over so you can see it. Look at that. Look at that little guy. Look at that. But it's going to go up. I mean, if Glenn says it's going up, it's going up. And right into his belly.
Rice is going to go way up.
Way up because China stuff.
The food shortages are going to get worse, and we will feel them here. Over in Europe, there.
Yeah, in terms of dog food. By we, I mean, my breeder puppies that I paid $10,000 for and have someone else pet for me.
Already rationing cooking oil because.
No, they're rationing palm oil specifically. There are other oils to cook with.
Because of the Ukrainian war.
It's not the Ukrainian war. It's the Russian war on Ukraine. Fuck you.
Inflation, supply chain.
No, you don't get to just inflation. You've just been proving it's not inflation. Prices going up is not inflation. It's not a balloon.
Shortages of energy, food, raw materials, and labor.
There are no shortages of raw materials. That's the shipping costs and the people getting it. There's the labor to get it out. There's not less oil or coal in the ground or gold or fucking rare earth minerals in the ground. It's still there. Just you got to get people to dig it out.
Are all going to accelerate this. And the war is only going to make things worse.
Oh, you'd think the war would make some things better. I've often thought that about war, Glenn. I don't know why you don't. Jesus Christ. I feel like I got suckered into a prepper food ad again. God damn it.